Right. So this next chat, of course, looks at South Africa's border security. Once again, coming under the spotlight, Border Management Authority has arrested several Mozambican nationals allegedly found in possession of 46 fake passports. It follows what authorities describe as a bribery attempt at a port of entry. And so these arrests come at the height of the festive season. It's a period that is marked by increased cross-border movement. So let's unpack further the issues of border crime, enforcement capacity, and really what travelers should know as they cross in and out of the country with Border Management Authority Commissioner and CEO, Dr. Michael Masiapato. A very good morning to you, Doc. Thank you for your time with the SABC at this hour.
No, thank you very much, Lisa. We really appreciate this opportunity as the Border Management Authority.
Well, Mike, I mean, as Commissioner, the BMA, it was actually created to bring one command and one vision to South Africa's borders as well. So really in practical terms in this festive season, I mean, what does this mean on the ground today at the ports of entry?
Yeah, no, indeed. The creation of the Border Management Authority has enabled the country to have a single structure with the ultimate responsibility for border management, fairly for managing and facilitating the legitimate movement of persons and goods. So on that basis, we are able to bring all the various stakeholders in the ecosystem in a highly integrated but also in a coordinated context, especially when we have to be talking to our immediate neighborhood. But in terms of the domestic side, the single command and control enables us to marshal all the various stakeholders on the ground. If we talk about corridor management, for instance, we marshal all the traffic authorities at the national, at the provincial, at the local level. In terms of the work within the port, we are able to marshal all the various stakeholders in port. And of course, even when it comes to the vulnerable segments out of the borderline, we're able to interface with other strategic law enforcement structures such as the police and the defense force. So the model is indeed working, and we are able to see some bit of benefits as we continue to do this work.
So, Dr. Masiapato, let's get into that. The arrests, Mozambican nationals and what they were found, the criminal modus operandi. Perhaps you can take us through how this group, in fact, was then detected, what initially would have raised the flags for officials at the border. And when you're looking at the number of passports, 46 is quite a significant number. So what does this really suggest about the scale and the sophistication of the document fraud networks that are operating in the region?
Yeah, no, maybe the first thing to indicate, Liesl, the ultimate rationale or the motivation for this kind of an enterprise. So firstly, you will remember that countries from within SADC, in the same way that ourselves can also visit our neighboring country for 90-day free visa entry. So what basically the people do is that as they are given the 90 days, they end up having to overstay the 90 days. The 90 days is supposed to be per annum, but what they do, they overstay. So on that basis, what they try to do is to get somebody to take their passport and get it to be stamped as if their 90 days has just started. So that is basically how the enterprise is actually done, to the extent that if they are found in the country, that particular passport will be having that stamp, a date, which gives an impression that they've just entered the country, whilst they actually never left. So that is how the enterprise was done. How did we deal with it? On the 1st of August 2025, you will remember we issued the new stamps that are highly sophisticated, being put together by the government printing works for us. And of course, it is very much difficult to duplicate them. So what we are dealing with now, people are getting this passport still stamped fraudulently, and we're able to pick that up. So that is how the enterprise had been operating, but we've been able to nip that in the bud, and that is why we are able to pick that up, arrest the individuals, and also in instances where travelers are part of the value chain, we also arrest them for aiding and abetting. And that is what happened to this Mozambican.
All right, so thank you for speaking to that, because we were trying to ascertain whether this is an isolated incident or it's part of a broader pattern that the BMA is seeing at land borders. Why am I saying this? We saw Kenyan nationals arrested in a separate immigration-related case as well. And so we're just trying to ascertain BMA's role. When do you step in? What is your specific role versus SAPS versus Home Affairs as well?
Yeah, you see, the issue of the stamping of the fraudulent passport is mainly a SADC issue, and it is mainly within the land borders, not necessarily the the air side of things or the airports. Now, in terms of the one you're referring to, Lizel, around the Kenyans, I think you will remember what the Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Leon Schreiber's clarity has been. One, they tried to apply for work visas with the Department of Home Affairs, and on that basis, the work visas were denied. So on that basis, they then drifted, and they ultimately applied for what we will call tourism visas. So on that basis, they were granted the tourism visas because as a tourist, anybody can come through so long as they don't have a criminal record or they are not wanted by Interpol and all of that. So on that basis, they got that. So when they arrived at OR Tambo International, in this instance, we processed them because they had a proper visa and they had a passport. Unfortunately, when they entered the country, then they started to work. And once they start to work, therefore, now they are breaking their visa regime, which is tourism and not work. And that is why the Immigration Inspectorate of the Department of Home Affairs, together with the South African Police Services, had to nab them and has to get them deported. From a border management point of view, in terms of their entry, there was nothing that was wrong. It's just that they entered the country and did what their visa did not allow them to do. That is basically the interface between ourselves and ultimately the department and the SAPS.
Okay, thank you for that clarity as well. I mean, I'm just looking at another incident. We saw Palestinian refugees enter South Africa by plane under humanitarian arrangements. And so even from a BMA perspective, I mean, is this still a border control operation, or does it now perhaps shift into a more policy-driven facilitation role? Who then authorizes entry in these cases? And with the updates, the authorization, how quickly does it become visible to BMA systems in real time as this is happening?
Yeah, Lizelle, in terms of the Palestinians, let me indicate that most, or actually not most, all of the commercial airlines, when they are destined to South Africa, they are obligated in terms of the International Civil Aviation Authority or organization protocols. They need to send us what we call the passenger manifest. So they send us that information 24 hours before travel, and ultimately we receive that data. We have to check those individuals and check if all of them are not necessarily V-listed or undesirable to the country. And we're able to clear those people to be able to come to the country. So that's what we do when it comes to commercial airlines. But in terms of chartered airlines, there hasn't been such requirement in terms of the international ecosystem. So on that basis, in terms of the Palestinians, obviously they came through a charter airline. And of course, in terms of the company itself, they actually had legitimate passports, as you remember. But of course, they did not need any visa to enter the Republic because they had been visa-free until up to the 10th of December. As you know, the minister had withdrawn that as we speak. But on that basis, they came through. The only problem was they failed the immigration protocol questions. Where are you going to be staying in the country? Do you have money to sustain yourself? And of course, are you having a return ticket? And all of those basic immigration protocols. And as you know, obviously they failed for them to be able to be allowed in the country. And that is why we rejected them entry. But obviously, when they were supposed to be flown out, there was a delay. And of course, the rest is history. The issue is an NGO in the country came to basically rescue them on the basis of those questions. So they said, we are going to accommodate them. We are going to be, sustaining them in the country. And we're also going to give them tickets to exit and all of those, unless if they are to apply for asylum and all of that. So all of that actually happened. And of course, we got a directive from the minister to say we need to allow them in. And that is how they were allowed in. As we speak, they are busy exiting because their 90-day visa entry is still very active. And of course, some of them might apply for asylum, and that will be a Home Affairs process.
Okay, thank you for that as well. I mean, this is all shining a spotlight on BMA's work and really what this entails in the festive season. When we look back at the issue of bribery and corruption at ports of entry, just to the Mozambican nationals, I mean, the suspects allegedly attempted to bribe officials. So in terms of prevalence when it comes to corruption at ports of entry and the safeguards that are currently in place to detect and prevent this in the festive season, can you speak to some of those measures as well? And if we're looking at the success of what these arrests then actually mean for the work that you've done, there are critics that are arguing the interceptions often just reveal some failures rather than the victories. I mean, how do you respond to this given the ongoing work, the intense work that's going to be happening as the festivities continue?
Yeah, maybe the first thing, Lizel, to indicate, I suppose in the current ecosystem, nobody can effectively deny the issue of corruption. I think that is one thing that is a fact. What is fundamental is, what is it that we are doing as the authority in dealing with the issue of corruption in the first instance? And maybe I can start by confirming that BMA has adopted a zero tolerance in as far as corruption is concerned. Up to this point, over 60 immigration officers in particular had actually been fired by the BMA since we took over on the basis of them being found to have been doing illegal activities. So that's the first thing. The second thing, just to indicate, Lizel, we had actually procured body cams. What the body cams enables us to do is to be able to follow through on the activities of our immigration as well as our border guards when they interface with the travelers, to the extent that if there is any kind of solicitation that has to unfold in terms of their interaction with the traveler, we are able to see that and we are able to hear that. So on that basis, it is practically very much difficult for the officials to enter into corrupt activities. We do know we don't have enough of those. We will be able to buy more as we get more financial resources. In this instance, exactly as you say, the Mozambican official, Mozambican national tried to bribe our official, and our official immediately said, now you are under arrest, obviously, for attempting to bribe the authority or the official of the state. And that is how also that was actually picked up, and that is how the arrest had actually unfolded. In any event, what we do, we have started doing a lot of training in terms of our officials on patriotism, understanding the dangers of corrupt activities, understanding the troubles of illegal immigration or facilitating illegal immigration. And there are a lot of other activities that we are doing, Lizel, which we might not be able to have time to expand on, but we do a lot of investment in dealing with corruption in the ecosystem.
We'll obviously look at the regional cooperation, and that's going to be happening this festive season. I need to wrap up. So very quickly, declarations, validities, what is that final parting message to those traveling in and out of the country?
So what we always say to the people is, please get your documentation in order. Do go to the BMA website together with the Home Affairs website for immigration in particular. Get all the required, to understand what are the requirements. If you travel with a minor, what are the requirements? You know, if you are a parent and the other parent is not there, what are the requirements? Those things are fundamental, Lizel, because we don't want people to arrive at the port and be denied exit as South Africans because of those issues. When you come back in the country, know what to bring and what not to bring. There are people who will bring fruits and a lot of things. We have to confiscate them and destroy. And people had spent money in the process. They need to go through the website, understand the do's and don'ts. Lastly, Lizel, for those that are not South Africans, when they return, we urge everybody to come to the port. Don't go to the borderline. Our drones are very much active. We are going to pick you up. You are going to be arrested. For facilitators, we arrest, we don't deport, we get them through to the police service. So that is basically the message we want to do. But otherwise, people must enjoy their Christmas and have an awesome New Year.
Dr. Michael Masiapato, thank you for joining us, BMA Commissioner and CEO. Speaking to the work that will be done, of course, during this festive season, the arrests highlighting both the ongoing work and the importance of vigilant border enforcement, but also just some of the challenges that South Africa's border system continues to face and how they're overcoming them.